Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's a pleasure for me to address you from the Islamic Republic of Iran as the Vice President on Women and Family Affairs. The Islamic Republic of Iran, established 42 years ago on the basis of a popular revolution, has great advances in different areas. One of those areas is the area of women's advancement and family development. From the beginning and the advent of the Islamic Revolution, the issue of women's advancement has been one of the major issues and challenges that we faced. From the very beginning, the founder of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Imam Khomeini, stressed on the fact that in Islam there's no obstacle to the advancement of women. Islam provides a framework for the spiritual, moral, and intellectual development of all members of the society, including women. And for this reason, on the basis of his vision and on the basis of the efforts of the Iranian woman, we've made great advances and we've taken great strides in areas like education. Iranian women have closed in the gap on literacy, and also in different areas of access of women to education, primary girls to primary education, and women to higher levels of education, academic education. Specifically now, more than 98% of Iranian girls have access to elementary schooling, and approximately 60% of our students in our universities are women, and approximately 30% of the population of the faculty members in our universities are women. So women are advancing in different areas. When you take a look at the ratio of women in the health sector, you see that more than 50% of those active in the health sector are women. We have a proportion of about 30% of our physicians and specialists are women, and they're moving ahead in different dimensions of health. Iran has one of the most advanced healthcare systems in the world, and you see women health professionals, and particularly now during the corona pandemic, Iranian women health professionals have been the vanguard in terms of defending the society in face of this terrible pandemic. And we have martyrs, women who have given their lives in the health sector for the struggle against this pandemic and against this disease. Also, in terms of science and technology, Iran has advanced. We have now more than 4,000 science-based corporations, private sector corporations in Iran, which are working on the leading edge of science and technology. And Iranian women comprise about 25 to 30%, both in terms of managing and directing these corporations, but also as scientists and experts. Also in the field of economics, in terms of the economic role of Iranian women, more and more we see a role by women in terms of entrepreneurship roles, entrepreneurship activity among women. We see women taking part at different levels of economic activity. Women heads of households. Now we have a national scheme to empower women heads of household at different levels, and this means that women are now more and more engaging, even though traditionally, according to Islamic teachings, a woman is provided economically by her husband in the family, but yet now women are more and more working in different dimensions of our society. Also, we've witnessed great advances for the rural woman. In the different villages, if you take a look at our diverse culture, in different villages, we see different aspects and dimensions of this culture, and we see the role of women, particularly in producing handicrafts, in promoting the local culture, both through beautiful traditional costumes and traditional handicrafts, carpet weaving and gilim, and these are beautiful productions, mainly, for example, in the handicraft sector, more than 80% are produced by Iranian women. In the agricultural sector, about 40% of the products are produced by women, and now we have a scheme to introduce standardized licenses for women who produce agricultural products according to standards, codex standards, and so it would be a healthy product for the society. And also in the dimension of politics, Iranian women are quite active. We currently have about 5 political parties run by women, women-focused political parties in Iran. And in every election, you see that Iranian women have been more than 50% of the voters, and they've taken part in each election. Iranian women have been a member of the cabinet since 1997, and they've been in the cabinet as vice presidents, as advisors to the president, and as ministers. And this is an important process for Iranian women. And currently we have a quota for the government where 30% of the managers at the decision-making levels of the government have to be women. And on the basis of this quota, we have a scheme for the empowerment of women managers. And we started from about 11% in 2017, and now today we have about 25% of the managers at different levels of decision making in the government are women. In the government of Dr. Rouhani, on the basis of this quota, we are bringing women into decision making circles, and particularly higher levels of decision making, including women as vice ministers. We have about 90 women currently serving at that level, and also as women ambassadors. And as you know, in Brunei Darussalam, we have a woman ambassador, Ms. Humaira Rigi, which is a very successful ambassador for the Islamic Republic of Iran. Also in areas like sports, Iranian women have advanced, and the interesting picture here is that Iranian women have advanced conforming to Islamic norms and standards, and we've been able to push the Islamic code in dress for different sports activities at the international level. Previously, women were not allowed to observe the hijab at that level, but currently women observing the hijab are taking part in international competitions, and this is very important. In the Asian Games recently, Iranian women took the third stage. They were very successful in gaining medals in different fields, and this is an ongoing process. Currently, practically in every federation, we have a vice president who is a woman, and they are very successful also in terms of sports for the public. We're working on encouraging young girls from the elementary school to engage not only in sports but also in different competitions and festivities which will add to their health and which will help them in terms of both moral and intellectual development. We also have a scheme now for promoting gender equity. The gender equity scheme works in all these different areas, in 8 different areas pertaining to women, some of which I just mentioned. And we've developed indicators for gender equity based on Islamic values, but also based on our national culture. And we're working to promote those indicators. Those indicators have been developed into local plans. 31 provinces in Iran have local plans for the advancement of women and family. And we also have plans at the level of the ministries for the advancement of women and family. And we have also drawn up indicators for the family. We are probably one of the first countries in the world to develop family development indicators. And these indicators are very important because the family is an important entity in the Islamic Republic of Iran. We have a national scheme for family dialogue. The National Family Dialogue Scheme is an ongoing training program to enhance communication skills among family members. And we're working to develop those skills, those dialogue skills among all different members of the family to increase the cohesiveness of the family. And we recently established an international center of excellence for family dialogue, and we're willing to work both with civil society but also at the bilateral level with the international community on this important issue. One of the areas where we've been working during the past years has been empowering the civil society, particularly in the field of family and women's affairs. And we're dealing with about 2,700 NGOs. We've had different workshops for increasing their capabilities in terms of project writing, in terms of being able to fund themselves and to enhance their different capabilities in areas pertaining to women, to family, and different social ailments. And this is, I think, a very important project. It's an ongoing scheme, and we hope to be able to engage the civil society more and more in different projects. One of the projects where these civil society groups are very active is the social resiliency project that we have. It's a project at the national level. About 1,000 different locations in the country have experienced this national resiliency program, and it intends to discover the capabilities of local communities in combating the different shortages or illnesses that we have. And it has helped our societies at the rural level, at the urban and suburban level, to particularly to empower women and families to be able to deal with the different challenges that we're facing. The Islamic Republic of Iran is currently facing challenges at different levels. Probably the most important level is the economic war waged against our country now for several years, and the fact that we not only have sanctions, but we have terrorist economic actions taken against our country. The second war waged against the Islamic Republic of Iran is a propaganda war. Most of the news available in the different outlets are negative news about Iran. Of course, like any other country, we also face challenges. We have our problems, but the reality is that Iran is advancing. In spite of all these difficulties, we are an advancing society, both in terms of social development indicators, in terms of science and education, and in terms of economic indicators. In spite of all these pressures, Iran has been advancing. And recently, we're also waging a war against disease and ignorance, and the war against corona is a very important war. It's a very important challenge. We've been able to enhance our healthcare facilities in the country. We've been able to support both in terms of diagnostic kits, but also for therapy and vaccines, both at the government but also at the level of our science-based corporations. We are also witnessing many advances in these regards, and we look forward to a bright future in terms of combating this pandemic and in terms of promoting health and peace in our society. We hope and look forward to collaborating with members of the international community, and particularly among Muslim countries, sharing and exchanging our experiences. We look forward to a world of peace and hope and health for all humanity. Thank you very much.